Hi, a lot of people ask the question, how do I make therapy successful? And what should I do in therapy? And the first answer is just show up. Just go make an appointment. That's usually the hardest step, is to just make an appointment and to show up to that appointment. And let the therapist guide the rest. Let the therapist help you figure out, how to deal with the issues or how to present the issues or ask you questions that you might need to be asked or whatever. Another thing is to let the therapist know your pace. Let them know if you want them to ask more questions, less questions. Some therapists are more engaging and talking. I tend to do that a lot. But I'm also really open for when a client says, I just need, for someone to listen. And I can hear that and let them talk and listen to them and then provide feedback later. And so you have to be able to let your therapist know if you want somebody who's more interactive or somebody who's quieter or whatever. It's kind of like if you go in for a massage and you're quiet and the massage therapist is giving you a massage and it's too deep or it's too soft or it's too whatever, and you don't say anything at the end, how are they supposed to know? Because every single client that they have probably wants something a little different. So if you speak your mind and you say what you need and say what you're wanting, you know you best. And so you can help that therapist figure out the best method for you. And it'll take the therapist a little less time to figure those things out if you share that information. And then also, one of the things that I tell clients oftentimes is make a how-to guide. There's so many times that people journal, and those are great. It's great to journal. It's good to have a diary and all that stuff. But generally, you're writing down negative things and getting out negative emotions. And there's a lot of great benefit to that. I have people do that all the time. But also have like a different journal or a composition book or something along those lines where you're just simply writing what works. Because a lot of times, it doesn't help to know what doesn't work. If I go tell you, hey, could you go pick up a couch for me? And you say, what color? And I'm like, not brown or black. And then you come back with a blue couch and I'm like, who would pick out a blue couch? And you're like, well, you told me what not to do. You didn't tell me what to do. And so it oftentimes helps to do that, because oftentimes something will be working, whether it's in our life, in a relationship, at work, and then something starts happening where it doesn't work anymore. And sometimes just knowing what was going on when it did work, techniques that we were using when it did work, can be helpful. And so, for example, if you go to therapy and say you're having issues in your relationship with communication, and you find out that, when you listen to your partner before you say what's on your mind, or if you're saying what's on your mind and your partner interrupts you and you listen to them, and then you can move on with your idea and what your feelings are about the topic that you wanted to bring up, the issue that you wanted to bring up, and you notice they are more receptive to that. Write that down, because in a month or a year or a day sometimes, right? We're human beings. You forget. And so when things aren't going so well, you can look at your how-to guide that you've written for yourself, and you know what tends to work for you. And so when you go to therapy, have a little how-to guide that you jot some things down in it after you're done with therapy. And then when you're having issues in your life after you're done with therapy, or maybe even while you're still in therapy, then you can look at that and look at, well, what was working? Do I really need to go back to therapy yet? Or can I look at what I've already have written down that's been successful in the past and utilize that? So those are some ideas. Like I said, be open with your therapist. Let them know what you're feeling, what you're needing. And if they're still not able to do that, it might be time to consider another therapist or whatever. And then also just, at the beginning of therapy, don't be afraid to shop around. What that means is, if you don't feel comfortable with the first therapist you see another one and see another one. And after you've seen 3 to 5, if you still haven't found one you like, it might be you, and it might be something you just need to pick from one of those 5. But it is really important to have that connection with your therapist, because if you have that connection, you're much more likely to bring things up in terms of things that you're not really feeling good about, like they're talking too much, they're talking too little, they're seeming to give you advice and you're not looking for advice, or it's coming out that way. So talk to them, but mainly show up. Just start the process, show up, and a lot can happen.